Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good because I've been researching this behemoth of a subject. It is massive, and if you followed me from the beginning, I've sort of dismissed the RH negative factor a bit. I'm RH negative myself, and but I didn't see it. I thought, if I've been gang stalked because of that, it's just a load of witchcraft, But anyway, I've been researching it, and it's opened up like other rabbit warrens of information. So this is quite a big one. So I'm talking about the RH negative factor. It's has a frequency of 15% on Earth. Okay, and strangely, Pete Peterson as well. He revealed some years ago that 15% of humans don't have alien DNA, and so that's the same frequency as the RH negative, because you got to remember, with this information, a lot of it's been suppressed. Okay, there's a bit of information out there, but there hasn't been any sort of like scientific books written on it for ages, and it's all about keeping us in the dark about certain things, Okay, so we basically got no Earth relative, because this rhesus gene, the rhesus factor it's called, is not on negative blood, So if you've got positive blood, there's an antibody, a gene on your blood cells that comes from the rhesus monkey. So that shows part of the evolution, but with negative people that is absent, and there's no indication of what earthly gene is responsible, So it's a bit of a mystery. So it's been a problem with pregnancy, because what happens is if a woman has got negative blood, and the husband, he might have positive blood, or he could even have negative blood and still make a positive blooded baby. If the baby ends up with positive blood, it gets rejected as a virus, which is really, really strange, because it's only in that capacity that happens. There's also a strange thing with blood donations as well, where like a negative blood donor can give their blood to anyone, but can only receive negative blood themselves, which is another strange thing, showing that the negative person rejects the rhesus protein, but the rhesus protein doesn't reject, because it's got nothing to reject. There's no protein there, But in 1968 they come up with Rogan, and that is it's a drug to allow different blood types to procreate. So that's pretty interesting. I'd be interested to find out if I'm a Rogan baby as well, because I was born in '73, so a little time after that. We can't be cloned, which I think is great news. Because the cloning technology scares me a bit, to be honest with you. I can't stand the thought of someone cloning me and like doing what they want with them. Some RH negatives have got extra rib or vertebrae. Okay, and that they interfere with electricity, and I can actually vouch for this, because I've had trouble with this, but it's not actually giving me trouble at the moment. It's helping me, because I'm using the metro up in LA, and if I just bang my hand on the tap card sensor, it will let me in a lot of the time. So but it's the first time I've noticed anything like that. So 70% of them don't grow wisdom teeth. They've got a lower blood pressure, slightly higher IQ, and stigmata. Also like very high psychic abilities as well, and less susceptible to disease. like cancer and AIDS, you know, which is a great thing, you know. Okay, so that's that then. Characteristics tend to be like have a high levels of empathy, quite mysterious, quite deep thinking. They're truth seekers. I'm obviously a truth seeker myself, you know, creative. Blonde hair, obviously not for me. Blue or green eyes. Quite a few famous people. Some people say Jesus was one, but I don't know how they base that evidence on, since there's no body of Jesus, so I don't know how you can tell. But like definite ones are Sir Isaac Newton, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Jimi Hendrix, Jack Nicholson, Lee Atwell, Marilyn Monroe, Clint Eastwood, JFK, Cleopatra, Jim Morrison, and every US president since 1954. I don't know when this was written, but Trump has got a very rare type, but he is a negative. But he's not an RHO negative, but he's a negative. Okay, so where does it come from? Well, if you believe the Bible, which I do, it comes from Israel. What happened is Abraham had a son, Isaac, and he had a grandson, Israel. I'm assuming that Israel is Isaac's son. Okay, and that's the first use of that name, Israel. Okay, and Israel was living with his 12 sons in Canaan, and the famine started. Life started to get difficult there, so he decided that he wanted to go to Egypt, which he did, and he built a great civilization there. Now the Union Jack, that signifies the 12 tribes of Israel, which is amazingly interesting, isn't it? And also Israelite stands for Israel light. If you like, break up that word into three, that's what it means. Okay, so this great, you know, civilization that Israel had built up, the Egyptians started to worry about him, you know, and to worry about the civilization, and they sort of started to see him as a threat, and they decided to go over there, and these Egyptians, they enslaved these Israelites for 400 years. Okay, so that's where the persecution starts, you know. So I'm going to go to, I'm not going to mention all the persecution because there's a lot of it and it's quite confusing, but I'm just going to go over some of it. Okay, in 930 BC something happens that's very important, and that is, what's happened is, between the enslavement and 930 BC, the country of Israel has been established, like the first country of Israel. Okay, but what happens in 930 BC is it splits. You know, it splits in, the south part becomes Judah, and the rest of it just retains its name, Israel. So this is where you get the birth of the word Jew, you know, and it sort of like comes from people who lived in Judah, and then I think it's become a religious denomination later on. Okay, it's quite interesting what happens with the word Jew. You'll see how it's been misused and reinterpreted and used by the Nazis to help their agenda. Okay, so let's go to 70 AD. In 70 AD, the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Okay, and it led to the killing of 1 million and the enslavement of 100,000. So once you get to this time, you know, after like the split of Israel into these two nations, the word Jew becomes complicated, because the way that we use it now It feels like a religious denomination and a race. You know, you're sort of born into a Jewish family, you know. But that's the wrong way of thinking about it now. Now you know how, like, where the word came from, you know. So, you know, they talk about, like, what they killed 1 million Jews and enslaved 100,000 Jews, but I would say those probably Israelites, or just enemies of the Roman people. And I think this word Jew has been associated with a lot of atrocities. Okay, and I'll tell you later why. It's because the Jewish religion is evil, and they like to hide behind these, because the first thing you think of when someone says the word Jew is the Holocaust and all these killings. Okay, but what you'll learn later on if you watch this film is they were not Jews. Okay, it was the Jews that did it. The Jews do these things, and then they call the people who they persecute and kill Jews to protect themselves. Okay. So we've got, like, in 1480 to 1750 as well. This was the persecution of the RH negatives. Okay, the Israelites, which is where 40 to 60,000 were killed during witch hunts. And apparently this is all based upon, like, the RH negative psychic ability, because most psychics are RH negatives. Okay. So they were associated to be with the devil, and they were hunted down. You know, it's kind of similar to what's happening with gangstalking today. You know. Okay, so the other thing about persecution is the Rothschilds. Okay, the Rothschilds were born out of persecution. Okay, because you had Mayer Amschel Bauer. Okay, he lived on Jew Street. And I'm assuming he was a religious Jew, or a blood Jew, or he come from Judah. I don't know. He was probably an Israelite, you know. So around about 1744, he was living in Frankfurt, Germany, and he changed his name to Rothschild. And what was happening around that time was the Jews were being, like, persecuted really badly. Okay, he probably was a real Jew, and he was being persecuted. So he was forced into making some decisions, you know, and he's sort of a big player in this whole synagogue of Satan going on, you know, and he was obviously, like, very frustrated and angry, and he wanted to do something for the Jewish people. So his way of getting power, he could see, was money, and he pulled off an absolute masterstroke at the time, because what used to happen is, this is a business that he was in as well. It was sort of like money lending, and he had a shop as well, and it was like a bank, you know. What used to happen is, if you were in England and you wanted to pay someone in Germany, you would actually send the money physically through carriage, over the seas, etc. And what would happen quite often is the money would get intercepted and robbed. Okay. So this was a real problem for the bankers at the time, and money lenders and what have you. So his idea was, he had 5 sons. And he basically got them to go and set up banks in the main cities of the world, like London, Paris, you know, Rome, etc. You know, and his idea was to, instead of, like, transporting the money, you know, the person who was closest to pay the money, they would pay it. Okay, to avoid robbery. So, you know, one of the brothers would get a request, I need to send 10,000 coins or whatever to Germany. He would write a letter saying to his brother, saying, pay this guy, you know, the money. And from Germany, he'd have a much shorter route. He'd be able to guarantee, you know, that the money would get there, and of course he just smashed it, you know, and totally like took the you know, changed the whole way the business was run and made a lot of money. Okay, so let's have a look. The other thing about the Rothschilds was they had to use inbreeding to keep the money in the family, because it's a way that money can like escape the family. You know, if someone gets married and they've got the money, and then the money disappears, you know, into another family or something. But the inbreeding is a massive problem, you know. But if you look into it, it causes mental problems, physical problems. You know, and it's not good from any point of view. You know, that the only advantage to it is the money thing. Okay, and you have no doubt about it that having to use inbreeding, you know, would have caused like a massive heartache in the family. You know, and it's heartache that we probably wouldn't know about. You know, but if you ever do your own research into inbreeding, you can see the kinds of things that they've had to deal with, you know. And it's also a really massive subject that is relevant to other things as well that I've found out, you know. The royal family have done the same thing to keep the money in the family. Okay, and also, you know, who else is like doing inbreeding a lot is these Muslims who are attacking us. And I was looking into it, and what it is the Muslim faith allows their followers to marry their first cousin, and the first cousin is sort of like the closest, you know, the point where it really goes wrong. You know, if you breed with your first cousin, like the risk of disease and mental problems goes up hundreds and hundreds of percent. Okay, so what's happening with the Muslims and that is their children have got low IQs. You know, they've got much lower IQs than us, and that's why they're being so easily led. You know, and they're literally just pure victims. You know, because you know the New World Order are behind, like sort of, you know, nurturing this probably. You know, and they're just using this part of their scripture that says they can wed their first cousins, you know, to create like these, like, you know, people are easily manipulated. You know, I suppose there's a certain IQ level where people are just like robots. You know, and they are at that IQ level. You know, so they're being used against us in that way. Okay, so fast forward 1917, the 9th of November, 1917 to be exact. This is where the Rothschilds managed to get so far as they've managed to like re-establish another Israel, an evil Israel, okay, which studies the Jewish religion, which is about hating Christ. You know, it's just not a very nice religion. It's based on the teachings of the rabbis, you know, and they wrote these books, these 36 books called the Talmud, and it's just basically full of lies about Jesus and stuff, you know, and it sort of like talks about having sex with children and all sorts, you know. It's basically like just Satan's Bible, you know. Okay, it's like, you know, that's why the Israel flag is like this 5-pointed star. You know, it's a symbol of Satan. If you look into it, look into the Jewish religion. Okay, it's the worship of Satan. You know, they read the Talmud, the Kabbalah, the Torah. Okay, so you can see what's happened here. Disagreement has come about right in the middle of World War One. I don't know what the link is yet, you know, but I know the Rothschilds and the royal family. They're very, very close, working together. You know, and there was some kind of deal done there probably, I don't know what it is, but I mean, if anyone else out there knows, like, put a message in the box, you know, that tells me, because I want to dig deeper on this. It's weird. It's a weird date. Also, what I'm going to say about this date as well, 9th of November 1917, okay, is a massive anniversary coming up. The 9th of November this year is the 100th year anniversary of the Balfour Agreement, which like basically brings about this nation where you can legally, like, you know, worship the devil and do sort of all kinds of other stuff, you know. So there you go. That's how the new Israel come about, and you can see what they've done. Okay, here as well. They've used the word Israel. Why didn't they come up with something of their own? You know, the word Israel means Israelite. Okay, this guy Israel was the son of Isaac. He was a great man, you know. He was a great man, and now they've associated the word Israel with evil as well. That's the kinds of things that the secret societies do, you know. Same as the Rothschilds, they changed their name. It's secret society methods. The royal family changed their name, secret society method. Now they're going to dirty the name of Israel. They've already dirtied the name of the Jews, as I'm going to go into in a minute. Okay. So, where are we? I'm going to fast forward now to 1926. Okay, so we're in 1926, and we're now looking at Otto Reek. Okay, he's a nasty piece of work. He's a member of the Nazi Party, and he advocated the genocide of ethnic Poles because he didn't want the German bloodline to be sort of like muddied by their genetics. That's what this guy's like. Okay, now he's founded the German Society for Blood Group Research in 1926, and he had a theory that different blood types are associated with different races, you know, like the European, the Asian and the Native American races. Right. In 1937 he discovered this rhesus factor. He discovered the rhesus gene. He could see it was on some blood and it wasn't on some others. Okay. In 1938 they began relocating who they called Jews. But, you know, this is a classic secret society trick I've been pointing out. They used the word Jews, but they were poor people. You know, you look at those people being led into those gas chambers. According to what we're led to believe, they're all Jews. They all hate Christ. They believe in the Jewish religion. No, they're not. It's the Jews that are leading them into the gas chambers, and they're poor people. Okay. That started in 1938, the relocation. In 1931 they started the mass killing. Okay. So we're now into World War II territory. So there's loads of weird stuff going on with World War II. The royal family were really involved. You know, we've all seen the film of them doing Heil Hitlers and stuff on their home movies. We've all seen Prince Philip in his Nazi uniform back in the day. We all know about Prince Edward is also a Nazi. He was friends with Hitler. You know, I mean, it's looking like that he was a massive part of it. You know, he sort of like I think he found the place that they were going to invade France and go through into France and stuff, you know. So I mean, what you're looking at then is a conspiracy between the Rothschilds and the Windsors, or to give them their correct name, you know, Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, which is the Windsors, you know, and Amschel-Bauer, which is the Rothschilds. And to make this even weirder, I saw a film that was saying that Hitler's mum was working for a Rothschild when she fell pregnant with Adolf Hitler. So, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me, you know. So you got Prince Edward, and like it's basically like talking to Hitler, who happens to be a Rothschild, you know, and they're like basically engineering World War II. And what it looks like to me is it's all part of their arms dealing, you know. It's their arms dealing, and they want to develop London and Germany, or the Rothschilds want to do Germany. I don't know, but for some reason they've engineered World War II. So what else we got then? So so these Jews, okay, the Rothschilds, and you know, probably the Rothschilds as well. Well, they're at least they're Zionists. They're devil worshippers. So, and that's what Jews are. Okay, and you know, so they're killing all these poor people, and then they slap the word Jews onto them. You know, but they're not Jews. And then they hide behind these events, these Holocaust events. You know, you couldn't say anything about the Jewish religion because they'll go, we was in the Holocaust and all this, and they're devil worshippers, and the Jews weren't even being killed in the Holocaust. Only the poor ones who refused to do devil worshipping and murdering, yeah, they would have got killed. But they were not true Jews, you know. Okay, so look out for that, you know, because it's all about confusing people with names and stuff. They do a load of shit and then say that was us that that was us that was being persecuted, you know, and they just keep swapping it around. Okay, so you look at Prince Edward as well. Like the lengths that he went to abdicate from the throne was unbelievable. I don't know what the trouble or ordeal he was doing with his wife, you know, who was a middle-aged divorcee from America, you know. But loads of weird stuff started happening around World War II. One of them was Prince Edward, as well as like getting friendly with Hitler and that, he was also getting friendly with some very dark banking kind of characters. And what he got involved in was currency exchange, you know, currency speculation, which is buying other currencies. And this is back in World War II days, that was illegal. And I don't know why. So that's weird, because you got all these evil guys, and like Edward's gone the wrong way. He's engineering World War II, and they're buying and selling currencies. You know, it just doesn't sound like the thing evil people do. But of course, the reason is they're behind the scenes, you know, making these wars happen and stuff, like making these currency exchanges happen. Okay, now there's a really interesting link here as well with the Dutch banker guy, who's now on YouTube, and he's come forward about the child sacrifice, and he got into currency speculation. That was all part of his like training to be a psychopath, you know. But currency speculation isn't there's nothing wrong with it, you know, but it's what's going on behind the scenes. You see, you know, they're using war, they're using economic war and all kinds of different war, conventional war or whatever, to make these currency exchange rates change. You know, ruining businesses, ruining lives, to deliberately make these changes happen. You know, and that's why he had to put his conscience in a freezer, you know. And it was just like the next step that he was taking, probably. Maybe on his like timeline, he had got to the place where he was like, you know, would take down a business, and like the guy who owned it would like commit suicide or something, and he could do that, you know. But then he got to the stage where they asked him to sacrifice a child, and that might have been as part of his initiation into starting wars and things, and using economic sanctions and that, to murder a lot of people and ruin their currency. And of course currency exchange is legal now, because in it of itself it doesn't seem evil or illegal or anything, and that's how they launder their criminal money. With one hand is causing a war, the other hand is betting on the result, and to bet on the result is totally legal. Okay, so that's where we are, and it's worth noting as well, the royal family also use inbreeding. There's going to be a lot of heartache there. I'd like to say, it's a terrible thing, and I hope that they realise that it's not God that did that to them, and the Bible says that you shouldn't do that, It's so I hope that doesn't compound their hatred of Christ, because I think that they can easily come back, over to the right side, because they've got so much information that can help crush this evil movement, Okay, so where is it now? Well, it's basically from where from where it originated in Canaan. It's spread throughout Europe. It's in Spain, especially high in the Basque in Spain, USA, Canada, Europe. It's all over the place, but not so much in Asia. What does it mean? Well, it basically means we're the Israelites. We come from a great line of people. So we've kind of got a responsibility. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing in that you just have inherited this responsibility that God might be watching you more closely than other people. So I think we have a responsibility. We're obviously really lucky, and but we must carry some kind of burden for it. This blood does not guarantee your acceptance of God. As I've shown you, the Rothschilds are Rh negative, so are the royal family, and they're evil. And unless they can resolve their differences with God, obviously I can't speak for God, but I would say they probably need to not rely on their blood if they want to align themselves with God. Being accepted by God, it's just something that anyone can do. It doesn't matter what kind of blood you've got. Okay, so we're looking at the new Holocaust, maybe. Or probably, or possibly, I don't know. The Gangstalking thing. It's kind of like the relocation. It feels like the precursor to relocation. This Gangstalking. And where it's coming from, the root of it, is Nazism in the elites. Okay, the people who are behind this, called Saxe Coburg Gotha and Amschel Bauer. They're the people right at the top, and I can't say if they're in league with the devil or not, but to me what they've achieved is quite amazing if they've done it without the devil's help, and they're not in league with the devil. I just don't know, but for me this is the front line of this war against us. The Gangstalking war. This is right at the top, Okay. So synagogue of Satan. If you're a good Christian, I wouldn't go too near Israel, because you might not come out of there alive. It helps you a lot in many ways, because you can see who's aligned themselves with Israel. It's the USA, UK. You know, people like this. If you look at someone like Iran, okay, you know, they're actually our allies, kind of thing, really. You know, but we will have allies in the USA, obviously, in the UK, in Europe, you know, but they're Christians. They're just good people, you know. That's who our allies are. That's why we're being harassed, probably. I think we're a high value target, you know, because if we can get turned to evil, I think they see that as a much better thing, because they're turning a child of God into a child of Satan, you know. And it might be why we're getting this extra special treatment. They're really trying to push us into this synagogue of Satan, you know. That's what it is. They're trying to recruit us, I think. And what you got to remember is, you know, that it's a massive con, you know. They'll probably get you to do something illegal and film it, you know, to show your allegiance with Satan, but they'll just use it to blackmail you your whole life. That's what they do. They use all these techniques: blackmail, theft, lying, cheating. They do it all. Okay, that's what you find. That's what you're going to find in Scientology. That's what you're going to find in the Mormons. That's what you're going to find in all these weird secret societies, the Freemasons. Like I'm telling you, you don't need to go there. What is behind it is the worship of Satan, and they hide behind these weird churches as an affront, you know, because people would not put up with it if everyone knew. You know, they're actually trying to test the water to see if they can, but they know by now that they can't. So this is my RH negative film, and I hope it's been like a lot of use to you, you know, because it's been a massive eye opener for me. I'll tell you that. It's taught me loads, you know, and really as well, I'm realising that I can't just ignore things that I'm not interested in, you know, because I used to live my life just trusting the government and thinking I can go off and achieve my dreams. I'm trusting the government that they're doing the right thing by me, so that I can go and like give it 100% in my way. And I just realised that we just can't do that anymore, you know, because we're being played on every front, you know. Okay, so that's me. I'll see you lot when I see you.